No ia e Māori. And a warm Pacific greetings to you all, our beautiful viewers today here on BluTable Talanoa. Yes, we do have a few people. It's a little bit crowded today, but that's okay because, you know, we love it. It's winter now, so we need all the people that we can. So it's so good to have, as always, our asiata and our beautiful marketing manager here, Claudia. So it is Happy Rotuman Language Week
for 2021.
Yes.
How exciting is that?
That is.
Wait, can I just say something?
Yes.
Noa ia e Māori.
Oh, yeah, and
No,
Māori.
yeah, and
That's all
Māori.
from me today.
Yes, so it is. That is the greeting for Rotuman language. And we do celebrate the Rotuman Language Week this week.
Absolutely.
And we are part of the Rotuman Language Week.
Yes.
And we have been excited to be part of this with
Yes.
MPP. Claudia, please, did you want to...
No, I'm just jealous. Because how come you
Yes.
guys can wear the Rotuman traditional leis and where's... Well, is this Rotuman?
But aren't these beautiful? Can we
yeah.
just take a moment to appreciate
Yes.
Absolutely.
the detail that goes
Absolutely.
into these? Like, they're just absolutely gorgeous.
It is.
Wow.
It's-
Wonderful.
Yeah, it
Are they,
is.
what are they? Are they flowers or?
think they are a special lay, but we will double check with our team. We will have a few guests this week as
Absolutely.
well to cover our Rotuman Language Week. But talking about Rotuman Language Week, the beautiful Claudia, our marketing manager, did manage to catch the launch and the opening there at Auckland Museum, Lenga Whai Angangafi. So Claudia, how was your experience there?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So I was really lucky and honored to be able to go to the opening of the Rotuman Language Week for 2021 at
Yes.
the Auckland Museum yesterday.
Wow.
And it was a beautiful location. And do you know what really stood out to me?
Yeah.
It was just a very strong sense of culture
Yeah.
and community that everyone brought while we were there. It was just mind-blowing. And we do have some really cool photos that we took
Awesome.
that Lem was going to put up very shortly.
Oh, cool. So you rubbed shoulders with the Honourable Opito.
Yes, we did. We all did actually, yeah. And he actually declared the opening of the Language Week for Rotuman Language Week 2021. It was actually the first face-to-face Language Week opening they have had. Of course, lockdown last year didn't really enable us to do that. But with the photos,
Yes.
we'll get to show you some of the awesome action that happened there. So here is myself looking very happy with Tiara, and she is from the Ministry for Pacific People.
Wait, is that a Sky City Tower?
No, so that's at the Auckland.
Okay. Sorry.
That's at the Auckland Museum.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful
Absolutely.
place. Yeah. And the team
Wow.
for the Ministry for Pacific Peoples, they did a fantastic job setting everything up. Tiara, along with Mac, gorgeous setup.
Oh, that looks
Absolutely,
like it looked like you had
absolutely.
so much
It was
fun.
so much fun. And this is Mac, the CEO of the Ministry for Pacific Peoples. You just got to give it out to the team for just putting together such a very, very warm and
Wow.
welcoming ceremony. And you could just really feel the love and the sense of pride for the culture.
And the other thing is, it's so good to see our team, our Blue Wave team there in amongst everyone. Also, how was the team?
Oh, the team was amazing as always. Yes.
Absolutely.
And it was really cool because Darlene actually shared with us the significance of the theme of Rotuman Language Week, which is the 4 pillars of life. Well, how beautiful is that,
It is
right?
beautiful.
Yeah. And that includes spiritual,
Yeah.
physical, psychological, and relationship with people, which is what I could really sense throughout the whole entire opening of the ceremony. And here we do have the Honourable Alpito Seal Williams declaring the opening of the Language Week.
Love the
Wow,
photos.
Wow.
And a big, massive congratulations to the team, to the Ministry of Pacific People for highlighting the importance of the language weeks. And I can't wait. And this
Wow,
photo that we've got
wow.
next.
Yes. So here we have PMN Rotuman presenter Besaitu Solme, and she talks to the many milestones that are being celebrated at the moment, including the newest Rotuman show on 531 PI. So
Wow.
it's actually the first of its own. So that's really exciting. So tune in. It's on every Saturday morning.
Can we just go back to the Alpito's photo? Please, Lembo, the camera. Can we just go back to that? Wow, look at the outfit.
I know.
Isn't
I
it
love
great?
it.
What's up with the orange? Was it,
The brights
Absolutely.
happy.
It makes him look
It was a happy celebration,
native.
right?
But it does. It makes him look native.
Yes.
Rotuman.
Yes.
Wow.
And he too is wearing one of these beautiful...
I'm pretty sure I'm the same size as the Honourable Alpito.
I love it.
Big
Look,
shout out to the man himself.
it's so awesome to see the Blue Wave team together with MPP celebrating our language week.
Wow.
And just look at how everyone is just very happy and welcoming in the crowds. These are some gorgeous people that got to meet at the event, along with Georgie, the MC, who did an excellent job, may I say?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, there you have it. Just a little insight with celebrating Rotuman Language Week together with our Blue team and MPP. So a massive congratulations, and I can't wait to start learning the phrases.
Yes.
So going into
Is
the
there a
phrase,
phrase? Is there a
there is
phrase
a
for the way?
phrase.
Yes,
I'm going to
yes,
attempt
can't
it
wait.
before we play the video, which
Yes.
is You know what? No, I better not. I am going to be respectful and I'm going to allow Lemo to share the phrase of the week, or the day, sorry.
Ra'ota uma arotuma. Ra'ota uma
Noia e Maori, o to asa le e Ramia. The phrase for the day is Rekoforo. Rekoforo means exercise your body. For Exia and happy Return Language Week.
Wow.
Oh, love
What an
it.
awesome.
Okay,
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm going to try and attempt
Yeah,
it
yes,
rek
absolutely.
or foro, which is the phrase of the day, which means go and exercise. So because we're on exercise, well, not to mention Fit Family, but I did miss training again today, so Fit Family, Alessio, shout out. The word of today obviously was directed at me, so rek or foro, which is go and exercise.
Go and exercise. you, the one that's watching us. Rek or foro?
Rek or foro.
Rek or foro.
There we
Did I
have
say
it.
that?
Yes, you did. We will definitely be practicing
Yes.
throughout the week, and we will be sharing to celebrate Rotuman Language Week. Thanks you once again to MPP for highlighting the importance of our language. Asiata.
Wow.
How are you?
Yeah, no, good. I'm good. And for that, I'll give applause. You know, for the effort.
Yeah.
But I can see you guys are already sweating. You know, just trying to
I'm
pronounce
trying to
the.
pronounce that.
Well, a little bit of highlights. I have my own highlights.
Yes.
But I'm sorry, I'll have to say it in Samoan. You know, just for the sake of our Samoan.
Yes, please.
Whataruwha tia tau le mai mō mene ni vanga o le afi. Ia, na o sina vanga I titi le fo se va ingo le tātou piki ena te anei ranga te lea. O nisi o mea na tutupu. Yeah, le weekend today,
Yes,
as
yeah.
you we're Mother's Day as well. So we'll come
Day.
to Mother's Day. But first of all, politics. Oh, my goodness.
Politics.
And see the views of politics.
Okay, I'm not going to touch. You know, I promise I won't spend more than 2 minutes on politics. Well, as we're notified, tomorrow is the hearing of the court case. Obviously, I don't have to go in details regarding that. O tai aula lea e whamoemoe mo waile I unga. O le tātou whamisinonga lea I le vau le fast, HRBP, e winga I le additional seats. Le sato e whaupopo, le umafua ai le deadlock 26-26. So o le ngalo le aswa tai au, o le a awina mai ai le update o le nā whaiunga. Protest. Whaftai atu le malo le tunu usa lango sua. O lau whaftai e maisi fo le ala leo le nei. E tu ina atu mo le saunga le mu le se vesi. There was no growl or whatsoever, that everyone were declaring and, prophesying about there will be damaging and all this. Thank you very much, Samoa, for the protest. You've done it in the most Samoan way. Silence, peace, show your board, make sure what you wrote is what's in your mind. But thank you very much. Mother's Day.
Yes.
I believe you do have some photos of the weekends. So much fun and so much money spending. But all the mothers, you deserve that. Hey, you deserve that. As Leto says, mai nisi nau tātou wanta. Mai nisi o ekalesia, ia e ngata fo ilea, sa asiasa tiai, ia tātou pokrama ngata fo ilea, nisi o tina, o tāpenanga sa iai, so many ula loles. What's ula loles in English?
Lolly necklace.
That's the one. Isn't that where the diabetes and all this?
Yes, and interesting fact, we
Yeah.
don't at PRPC Tamaki, we no longer do lolly necklaces, so that we
Wow.
could, everything is now reusable lace that we keep and we reuse it every year. So we highlight the Mother's Day, but because of the obesity, we wanted to make sure that we do our part as a Samoan community and
Wow.
ekalesia.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Very
that deserves a bit of
proactive.
a buzz. Okay. And does it now tanto wata tu sisila mai nisi nei o tina man tutua? Well, that's actually my mum.
Happy Mother's Day.
But I think that's... Oh, and one more. Mai tau lia le tele o tātou tupe na lafo I Samoa I le nei weekend. Now, Manatua, what we've heard and it's happening in Samoa, they're planning for another elections, and then some people call it, where the money's from, we're going to spend this all in there, from the taxpayers' pockets. But so grateful that this last weekend, I've spoken to some of the finance suppliers and money transfer owners, that it was a massive turnaround income for Samoa. Yeah, ila tau no tu la fotupi. Yeah, wafu ai Samoa. So, big whaftai, a huge whamalo to the massive weekend. And the summarize of all this, the sum it up, it was all safety. Saungale mumea uma ileanga le leima le lofa o le atua. Thank you very much, Samoa. That's all from me.
Oh,
Awesome.
well, we do have a bit of a surprise. Thanks, Asiata. You've got a surprise for us?
Yes,
the break.
right after the break.
Stay tuned. We have a special guest.
Yes, absolutely. And if you want to know more about this, well, not the book, but the person that actually wrote this right after the break.
50 years ago, the Polynesian Panther Party burst out of Ponsonby intent on revolution. The dawn raids, tenants' rights, police brutality. The Panthers changed the way New Zealand treats our Pasifika population. So why are they still fighting? Here's Mark Kreisel, and a warning, there's some strong language in this story.
50 years ago, New Zealand, the quarter-acre pavlova paradise. It was all right if you were white.
They're not us, we're not them.
The racism was blunt, overt.
We can't educate them, they're not used to our way of life.
Let's keep to our own British stock.
In your face, especially if your face was brown.
Bunga, nigger. I grew up with savage.
I just felt it in the stares of Palangis, whether we were in the bus or walking to school or even in the classroom.
Carloads of people that drive past and yelling out things like, oh, go back home, you bloody coconut.
A reverend, a musician, an associate professor. Original Polynesian Panthers.
Once a Panther.
Always a Panther, yeah.
Ponsonby in Auckland, 1971.
The central urban home of the largest Polynesian community in the world.
The government encouraged Pacific Islanders to come here because New Zealand was short of workers.
We were pretty much viewed as units of productivity. Our humanity was not a part of anyone's vision at the time.
The place Alec Tuliafor grew up in was not the latte-sipping, European car-driving, multi-million-dollar villa Ponsonby of today.
It was a slum. Many of the buildings were, if they existed today, they would be condemned as unfit for human habitation.
The family exists in conditions which would make most New Zealanders shudder.
Yes, this mice comes out from underneath here.
And the community felt harassed by police.
Do you regard the police as being the white man's police, and not your police?
Yeah.
A young Tingilau Ness copped a few beatings.
Some of us were picked up, put in the cars, in their police cars, taken round to a dark end of the street or alley, beaten with wet newspaper, no bruises, and dropped off.
I jumped on your wop, sorry.
Just for doing what?
Just walking.
Injustice, racism, oppression.
I was angry, bitter, and I felt really rebellious.
At some stage, the Polynesian community was going to fight back.
This is where we had our very first meeting of the Polynesian Panther movement on the 16th of June, 1971.
A 16-year-old Milani Anai snuck out from her family home to join a revolution.
I didn't know what to expect, like gang guys. I was terrified.
Some of the Panthers had been in gangs before, but this was different.
Was that the day you became a Panther?
I think so, yeah, because it gave me another direction, like it gave me a hook to where I could perhaps find my voice in terms of the unjustness of life.
No guns, no drugs, non-violence, fighting the power politically.
We realise that if there's any change to be made, it needs to come from the community.
So up step the Panthers.
Yes.
The chairman is a university student, the secretary a machinist, but most of the executive and of their membership is drawn from high school students.
America's Black Panthers were a big influence. The Polynesian Panthers borrowed the philosophy, the raised fist salute, the berets, and the black leather coats.
Black leather was expensive. I never got a black jacket until later on in my life, Mark. I couldn't afford.
Tingilau Ness, a Niuean New Zealander, joined after his high school told him to cut his hair.
I had an afro, and I was called up to the headmaster's office one morning and told, get a haircut. Ness, get a haircut.
Traditionally, Niuean boys can't have a haircut until they've undergone a coming-of-age family ceremony.
And I protested and tried to explain to the headmaster it was our Niue culture, a sense of pride and identity which he didn't have any understanding at all about.
16-year-old Tingy and his afro were expelled. The Polynesian Panthers took him in.
We need people like you. We're out to help our people. And that's what got me to help my people.
There was a food bank, a tenants' aid brigade which stopped forced evictions, even their own newspaper, the Panthers Rap.
We were doing things that nobody else did at a very, very young age.
A homework club for the kids, a Christmas party with presents.
This is a sort of a display of the power of the people. By ourselves, we're really nothing, but we try to encourage the people to get up and act.
We took petitions around, we did concerts for old folks' homes. The Paremo Remo bus, we went there and talked to the prisoners.
If we are to talk of lawbreakers, we must take into account those who have been parties to the breaking of the law.
David Longy, well before becoming Prime Minister, helped write the Panthers' legal aid pamphlet.
If a policeman doesn't have his badge on, he can't arrest you because he's not in full uniform. If he doesn't wear his helmet, he can't arrest you because he's not in full uniform. Little things like that, because they were just jumping out of their cars and, you know, hey you, come here.
That knowledge translated to power. The Panthers took it and formed the Police Investigation Group, Pig Patrol for short.
We followed them around. We didn't have to do anything, just be there to watch, which stopped the police from picking willy-nilly Pacific Island and Māori people off the streets or coming out of pubs.
But the Panthers' first line of defence was the military wing.
I was part of the military wing, which is Polynesian Panther members that were prepared to step outside of the law, ready to be arrested, confronting the system.
Ready to fight?
Ready to fight.
You were a good soldier?
I think so, yeah.
This came to the fore during the infamous Dawn Raids.
State-sanctioned racism in action. State-sanctioned terrorism.
With the immigrants, that's the problem that we face. We've got too many of them.
Between 1973 and 1976, successive governments cracked down hard on immigrants with expired visas.
Did they say what they wanted?
They wanted to see, you know, how many people are living here and if there's any overstayers.
It seemed like we were the majority of overstayers. We're not even. The majority of overstayers were white, and they were from England and South Africa and Canada.
If there was any doubt about who we were, the Dawn Raids nailed that up for sure, that we are not New Zealanders.
Well, I don't like this word raid.
The police minister mightn't have liked the word, but that's what it felt like to the communities being racially profiled and rounded up on the streets and in their own homes early in the morning.
Not being sure that when I walk out my door that I am going to be stopped by police and asked for my credentials.
Just because you had a brown face?
Yes.
The Panthers came up with their own solution.
The reverse Dawn Raids was to show politicians what it felt like to be Dawn raided.
Members of the military wing turned up outside government MPs' homes at 3 in the morning with loudhailers.
Bill Birch, come out now with your passports.
And what did he do?
Well, repeated it again.
Bill Birch, come out with your passports now.
A couple of seconds, the lights came on, front door opened, and we all jumped in our cars, piled in our cars and took off.
Not long after, the government called off the Dawn Raids, but the hurt and shame still lingers in the Polynesian community.
There's been no apology.
What would it mean to the Pacific community if the New Zealand government apologised for the Dawn Raids?
For some, it would really help ease the pain of the memories of those times, and not only the memories, the actual experiences that people went through.
The Panthers' next battle, the 1981 Springbok Tour. South Africa's apartheid policy, the embodiment of racism. Non-violence wasn't going to cut it this time.
I was prepared to go to prison protesting against apartheid. That was the beast. No matter that it was rugby, it was apartheid. It's death to us.
New Zealand went to war over a game of rugby. Tingy was on the front line outside Eden Park.
There was thousands up and down here. Yeah, and we were at the front, you know, being Patu squad.
The Māori and Pasifika Patu squad and the police's frontline red squad went at it. a full-pitched street fight.
We fought them. They with their batons and us with our shields.
Hand-to-hand combat.
Hand-to-hand.
That's Tingy with the silver helmet and the Stop the Tour shield.
How serious did it get?
It was like kill or be killed. Tama tu, tama ora. You stand, you live. Tama noho, tama mate. You lie down, you're dead. So we fought. No way we would allow apartheid in any shape or form.
Tingy paid a price for that day, convicted of rioting, unlawful assembly and fighting police. 9 months in prison, leaving behind a wife and a young son.
It'll be there for life, I guess. I missed out on a lot.
How long did it take you to get over that time that you served?
A good 10 years before I was able to get a job.
Looking back now, was it worth it?
Oh yes, yeah.
Tingy's had a successful career as a musician, and that young son he left behind to go to prison grew up to be Shefu. It's 50 years since the Polynesian Panthers were formed.
We shone a light on how things were hurting us that nobody cared about. Housing, education, justice, police brutality. We shone a light on that for the whole of New Zealand to benefit from.
And now the bright light of the mainstream is shining on them. A TV drama, an art exhibition.
We ask now that we listen to the stories that are in this exhibition, and in hearing them we might never again repeat the history that they speak of.
But half a century on, are we a less racist country?
Are you strong?
On the surface, things are looking better. You've got diversity and the more Pacific MPs. But my measuring stick is what's happening to people. What are the statistics?
And they're not good.
They haven't changed. We're still at the bottom of the heap, and that's what institutional racism does. It's designed to keep some people higher than the others. And that's just a fact.
Do you think me, as a Pākehā middle-class male, do you think I can ever truly understand your experience?
No. No. See, racism is a white problem. You have to fix it. We're tired of saying, fix it, which is what I'm saying. I'm giving up on adults. I'll go with the kids. They got no qualms about race, colour, creed, religion, nothing. All they want is to be safe and to be loved.
These days, the Panther message is spread through the schools rather than the barricades.
We realise that the only way things are going to improve for us is if we did it ourselves.
Their legacy is living and breathing. But sadly, inevitably, each year their ranks grow thinner. Once a panther, always a panther.
Eventually, we will all face that front line that we cannot avoid. And I guess when we cross that line, we don't need hard hats. We don't need shields. Nor do we have the fear of the long baton. But across that line, there will only be peace.
E mihi ana ki a koutou katoa ngā Polynesian Panthers, mō o koutou mahi whakahirehira. We acknowledge your important work. Now, earlier this week, one of the original Panthers, Miriam Marohihi Ness, passed away, a revolutionary woman, a wahine tō, he wahine whawhai mātātou, haere, ki hine nui te
E te whatara whatu sa mo e lau wha sau saunga ma lau sila matana no fore nei vanga o le awhiawhi. E ua toi fo i meri tātou porokalame o le BluTable Talanoa po o le whaasoa i lunga o le tātou lau lanu mona. E a tai mo whano sa mātou Talanoa le whaatau o le rutu malengo i chimarisi o tātou niusa mai sa mo. A o lea wa e sila mai. E ua mātou whaatasi atu i luma nei. E a ele toi tau sula ina le IMMA e beo tana le atunu. Le to tau whaafuruina fo i le pāina. E o mātou whaatasi atu i luma nei. Ia ma se tasi fo i o tamali i wai longa lana tautua. e le ngata o Samoa o le lalolangi a toa e maise o le atina e na ma le asa ina mai o le ngasu o le taitai au wā Samoa ma le Pasifika i te tonu o le tere nei. Atu fatasi ia ma le afionga ia Lupe Matasila, Misa Tauveve, Melani, Dr. Anae po o profesa. Le fionga le profesa Lupe Matasila, Misa Tauveve, Melani Anae. Yeah, o le tangata malona whaasino manga. You know, we have identity and heritage in Samoa. A whai morisira mai moa i tātou Samoa, ia o taulanginga o le fionga i le tamaitai profesa. Ia pa ia wale whalewhito o le taua ana maralantou tama. Lea e papa, ia ngalu e whātu lo o sa longo, tangata o le vau vai o le no fofia. Wa upu ia te oe whale la tai. A whaiwha o te talanoa i tausenga awami se tauveve, ia tulona le whale anga fōlu, tu uu ma le ainga sa tu uu. Ia e tēnā ne fōi le ainga sa so mua, wa mauro la tau whale na si i lungo le mau. Ia ma le whale lua ma le whale tolu. A lea ua sila sa anga o mātou mafuta tuai. Ma le fionga le mai tai profesa le ngantai lea. O ia o se matua o whaiva. Ia i lea o ina o le ngangana le Pasifika i le Universite ao i Auckland. A talo whantu i le nganga o le loto maulalo. Yeah, and the team.
Yes, it's what a great honour it is to have here at the Pacific Business Hub, BluTable Talanoa, Professor Lupe Matasila, Melani Anai, a lecturer at University of Auckland for Pacific Studies and a foundational member of Polynesian Panthers. How awesome is it
what
to
a
have
resume,
you?
eh?
I know.
Wow.
It's a bit of a mouthful, I know.
And one more thing I want to add. O ia fo'i o le tusi tala.
I know.
O tusi nei e lua.
Yeah.
The platform, she'll talk more about the whapalangi days. But I'll stick with o le matai system.
Yeah.
But we're not going to talk about this today, but she's the author and writer of this book as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, amazing. Oh,
how are you today?
Good.
Yeah.
How's
Happy to be here.
Yeah. How was that? Well, first of all, we'll get the formalities out. Did you want to do a quick introduction to our viewers today?
Yeah, power to the people.
That's a great introduction. I love that.
Wow.
Oh, it's so awesome to have you here. How was it just being here? You're very, very casual, very chilled, as mentioned earlier. How was we didn't offer coffee today.
No, I just drink water these days most of the time.
We need to be like you.
But our viewers have seen a small clip that we have shared today before introducing our some guests today. And I know Lea Asiata has a question with regards to video leanga po e leva.
Absolutely. No, it was just so hard trying to get through you, trying to get you a special moments like this. So from there, so grateful to have. But just with the little clip that you just watched, Lesato my mom in Samoa, o nai mea nan tupu ya soia. Ioi, a o tātou whaalolongo whamai sa su e tu lou lawa, sa su e tai whau i lantou na nofo whaasori tu la whono pe overstayers ya soia. But my question is, when I came to New Zealand, I've heard this word dawn raid. Dawn raid. What is dawn raid?
The dawn raid was state-sanctioned racism directed against Samoan and Tongan overstayers, of people that were the first generation of migrants that came in large numbers in the 1950s, 60s. And so it was a really dark time of New Zealand's history. And I'm glad that next year, when we have the new curriculum for New Zealand history, dawn raids will be part of that story, because we need to tell that story to our younger generations. But it was terrible. People would be asleep. The cops would bang down the door. Dogs would come in the house. And people were just rounded up like animals, and they were taken to the prison cells just with their ear lava and T-shirt on. They weren't allowed to change.
Whether it's winter.
Or,
wow.
And it was just terrible. And especially when most of the overstayers were Palangis from Europe and America, UK. But 90% of Samoans and Tongans
were the deported, who were deported. And that just created, chaos and a lot of trauma. You know why you haven't heard it? Because people don't like talking about it.
Yeah, and I just
it's too much pain.
Yeah, because I'm 26. I have a lot of friends who went to different schools. Some went to Catholic private schools, and not many of them have heard about the dawn raids and the history of it. I went to Southern Cross, so they state school system taught the history of the dawn raids. But seeing my other friends who went to more expensive schools not being taught this history, to me was shocking, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's disgusting because it needs to be remembered because people don't talk about it, especially the old people.
Yeah.
And now people are just starting to come to us. There's one man who called me and said he hadn't even told his wife. He was so ashamed that he was dawn raided when he was 20 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, and so people, the government needs to know what they did to us in terms of, it's just despicable.
Wow. I think I've got one more question. So to come up with this title, Dawn Raid, was it difficult for you guys to come up with the idea of being raided in the dawn time? Was that how the idea came about? How the timing of the day that they
that's right. Dawn? That's why we did the reverse dawn raids, and so we dawn raided the politicians just to let them know how it felt. Just get up and all surrounded with lights and dogs, and so and together with what the Panthers did then, and a whole lot of other groups. And even our prime ministers in the Pacific Islands and Samoa Tonga, we stopped the dawn raids, and that's how we annihilate racism. That was the Panthers' platform was to annihilate racism, celebrate Mana Pasifika, and educate to liberate.
Amazing.
So that's how we annihilated the dawn raids, and just like the Springbok tour that you saw in the video, but we couldn't have done it on our own. We needed those other groups, Ngā Tamatoa Māori groups, Palangi groups. We all worked together because the enemy was racism.
Yeah. So you've worked together now, and with everyone and collaborated. But you've also got a new series that's coming out as well, which is Polynesian Panthers. How was it? How did it feel creating the Polynesian Panthers series?
Well, I thought it was about time. It's actually called the Panthers, but it was really weird trying to find the actress who's going to be 17-year-old me.
17-year-old you.
So it was kind of weird seeing my story being enacted before my very eyes. So I can't wait to see the finished product. But it's timely because it's our 50th anniversary in June when we had our first meeting and formed the Polynesian Panthers.
Wow, is it quite an emotional time for you?
It is, and it's gone crazy. We're doing tours all over Aotearoa, and but for the last 12 years we've been going to schools and telling our story, and all the teachers that we've been to have told us that the Polynesian kids just do really well because we're living history type thing. We're not like Gallipoli. But we're actually still alive to tell the stories, and they just really relate to it. And that's why we need more of these topics in our school curriculum, so that our kids can do well, and so they can relate to it and it makes sense to them.
And I 100% agree. There is a lot of recognition of the dawn raids now, and it's slowly starting to come in. But like what I said before, a lot of young people weren't taught this in the school curriculum. And that's something that needs to be taught. So, it's not repeating itself.
But guess what? It's the Palangi kids, it's the Chinese kids. They're all benefiting from the story, because it's for everybody. What we were doing to try and help our own Pacific communities was actually helping the whole of New Zealand.
Right.
And that's amazing, I think, that just a bunch of kids, 16, 17-year-olds. I mean, our community was calling us moipis and black sheep.
It must have been that time,
It was.
The rebels.
We it's a Samoan expression. Absolutely.
But you know, we felt we were made of steel because we had our parents and our ancestors in our hearts to say we're not going to take this crap anymore. They can't push us around like this.
Exactly.
And so we just made a stand, and that's what I tell all young kids who aren't happy with something. Stand up.
Yeah.
Stand up.
And we're so thankful that you guys paved that way for us.
Excellent. Now, Professor, it brings me to one question when I saw the clip. How was it like to be a female so young and that danger time? Obviously, there's a lot of violence, a lot of racism, and how did you cope when your parents were for you just to go and join that?
Especially when misogyny must have been worse back then.
Yeah. What a great question. That's good because we had a balance, because we had us kind of university students, some on good girls, went to church and did everything, but I had to sneak out to go to our meetings because I didn't want to bring shame to my father and my family, because it was ex-gang guys and it was these girls from university, and it made a good balance. And also because the whengainga, whengainga, we were like brothers and sisters, and they had our backs during the protest marches and we had their backs when they wanted to go and cook the cops. We would say, hey, wait, let's do a petition. So it was a fantastic
so they were physicality weapon and you were the mind.
That's right.
The brain.
No, actually, the sisters were the backbone of the Polynesian.
I like that. Yeah, the backbone.
We had it together.
Wow.
We were, but you know what? Why you don't see us in the newspapers at the time? Because we were hiding behind the camera. We didn't want our church to see us or our families.
You know what? The real workers are always behind the scenes. So, but just bringing that up. So there's a young man named Benji Timu. I'm sure you're familiar with him. He forwarded a letter to Ministry of Pacific Peoples asking for an apology for the Dawn raids and everything that happened around that.
Yes.
And I just wanted to know, for yourself, what were you guys trying to achieve with that apology letter?
We haven't been writing letters for the apology. We have actually been in conversation with the Ministry of Pacific Peoples. We actually started this conversation 2 years ago, the Polynesian Panthers, and we are in talks with them. And we are also demanding an apology. But we want the outcome of the apology to be attached to a long-term educative program, which will never let New Zealand forget about what they did to us Pacific people during the Dawn raids.
That's great. I think that's a great solution to moving forward. And I'm talking about moving forward. What do you see? How do you feel like the government should act so that we are progressing and that history does not repeat itself, besides educating the masses?
Educate to Liberate is one of our platforms, but I think the government should apologise and give us what we are asking in terms of how we can educate our kids and New Zealand not to be racist anymore. The policies, you've got institutional racism, you've got personal racism, you've got internalised racism, and you've got everyday racism. And that's what we're trying to let them feel, what it's like. You wake up, there's racism. You go to school, there's racism. You're in the bus. You go to, St. Luke's and you get racially profiled. We want that to stop. We want us to, live together as, humans on Aotearoa can do it. We lead the world in a lot of things, and we can stamp out this racism together.
I definitely agree with that. And I've been in a lot of discourse. I've been seeing different posts on Instagram, and what I've picked up is a lot of people are politicising the issue. They're saying it was National's fault, it was Labour's fault, they did this. The truth is, it was both their fault.
That's right, totally right.
It was both. There's no point in trying to say it was one person's fault. So what are your thoughts about people trying to politicise this issue that was very hurtful for the Pasifika community?
We just need to be on the right side of history. That's why we need to educate to liberate, so that people know what the truth is and how it happened, instead of people just kind of jumping on bandwagons. And so the book, the platform book,
Well,
will help.
yeah, you've seen the book as well. I do have a question, but we'll continue right after the break. But that question is racism stopped or is still continuing? But we'll do that right when we come back.
Awesome.
I get it down on the dance floor.
What an interesting Talanoa today, and welcome back to our viewers. Thank you once again for joining us here on the BluTable Talanoa, where we get to meet our Pacific locals, our Pacific heroes, and just talk a little bit about their story in their words. And today we do have a very special guest, Professor Melanie, who's joining us today to talk a little bit about her experience. And we shared earlier on the Dawn Raid video as well. But oh wow, it's been very interesting. We had Hannah earlier on, but to continue on with our segment, I think Asiatas wanted to ask his question with regards to the...
Surely, remember before we went on break, one of the questions I asked racism, obviously was the message that you were trying to tackle back in the 50 plus. Now the question is what do you feel? Is it stopped, fully stopped, or is it still continuing nowadays?
It still continues because even though it looks like we're a really cool race relations, you know, there's diversity, we have all these Pacific MPs in government, but you look at the stats, we're still at the bottom of the heap. What's happening to the people? We've got the culture celebrated up there, the ASB festival, flea market, but the people are still at the bottom. They're in our prisons, they're in our hospitals, they're not, you know, succeeding at school. So what is really going on? And this is what is institutional racism. These are ideas that have come, you know, have been here since the signing of the Treaty of Waitangi. You've still got that colonised view of the people in power over, you know, other populations. And I think, I mean, look at the Treaty of Waitangi. It's still a very problematic document in terms of how people are, you know, understanding it.
Interpretations of it as well.
So, I mean, racism very, 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 very much still exists. We had schoolgirls from Auckland Girls Grammar saying that they have their bags checked when they go into countdown.
Wow.
And we have young families going to a restaurant on an outside table. They have to show their credit card before they even order the meal. They have to give in their credit cards. It's everywhere. So we're talking to a generation of Whalangis really who don't know the history of this place, and that's why we need it to be taught in the schools from age day one, because, you know, racism is taught, it's not inherited. So we need to
like
unteach racism, and we can start now. The time is right.
So it needs to be, you know, teach more, reminding. It's not something that grows through blood and wow, that's profound. And now with together we're in the celebrations or the of the Rotuman language, which also a Pacific under the umbrella of Polynesians and Pacifica. I'm just thinking of what you've done so much back then. It paved the way, as she mentioned earlier, for all this. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think it's wonderful. I'm really great seeing our other Polynesian brothers and sisters and Pacific being celebrated, because, you know, it's time. And even in our Pacific Studies curriculum at University of Auckland, we are focused on Polynesia in terms of our studies, languages, performing arts and histories, etc. And it's time now to spread out to the other, because we all, you know, we are all Polynesians, right?
Yeah.
We're all Pacific people.
Is that where your passion and hunger for has stemmed from? Was because of your experience at a younger age?
I think the love of my culture for Samoa and the whaamatai comes from my dad. Just watching him lead the family, look after the family, all the rallies coming from Samoa and live at our house in Grayland, you know. It's just, I'm so proud of that. And that's what I want to see our young people feeling as well. To be proud of their ethnic identities. Because it's their ethnic identities which will make them special in this world, and you know, take them that extra notch to have a better understanding of people and relationships and looking after the va between them and everyone else. And it would be a better world if everyone were Samoans.
I love it.
What does the nation in the Pacific?
You're a professor, and that's why you've got there. You're doing that.
I love it. With look, Melanie, with your background with Pacific Studies, what is your experience with our Rotuman community?
Well, you know, Samoans have been here in large numbers since 1950s, 60s, and then Tongans came in the 60s, and Fijians came in the 70s, and the Rotumans are coming. So they're our youngest kind of group, but what we can show them in terms of our experience, in terms of the Polynesian Panthers, we were the first of the first. We were the first New Zealand-born generation of the big wave of Samoan and Tongan migrants that came. They can have a glimpse at the inroads that we made for them in terms of the relationships between ethnic minorities and the dominant group. So hopefully they will not have to experience some of the pain and anguish that we did back in the 1970s, our communities felt back then. So,
when can we expect your series to?
I hear that it's going to hit the road about September.
August, interesting.
But there's a whole lot of groups, because it's a what you call a faction. It's part fact, part fiction. They're going to alongside it. We've got some podcasts coming out which tells the real stories. So alongside those, people should get a good sense of who we were and who we are. We're still Panthers. Once a Panther, always a Panther.
Yeah. Aseta, did you have any final questions?
Well, yes, just by looking overall at nowadays with the multiculture, it's being so proper running in terms of equality. Are you happy with your achievements? With all the other pioneers or the so-called Polynesian Panther. Are you happy about your achievements so far?
Yeah, just ecstatic, really. I mean, when we were Panthers, we just did what we did. We didn't sit back and intellectualize about it and say, wow, look at us, we're doing great. You know, it just happened, and that's the Samoan stuff. You just do. You don't talk, you do it. And that's I think, the lesson we have to give to other groups. Don't that's what we tell the young kids. Yeah. If there's something that you don't like in your hood, surround yourself with like-minded people and stand up.
Wow. Did you hit any cop in the head?
With my words I did.
Oh, no. Look,
Well,
No, it's been an absolute honour to hear your stories in your words. It's been great today. I know we wish we could have you longer. I think Hannah is on edge waiting to say, can you cut the show now? So I think Hannah has a few more questions to ask, but it's been an absolute honour to have you today to talk Talanoa here about your experience, life, and back in the day, I know that there will be a lot of questions that have come through, but if you do have any questions, or any of our younger generations who don't want to ask publicly online, that's fine, we understand. But if they do have any questions, is there somewhere they can direct their questions to you, or a platform they can direct their are we able to share that online?
Yes, my email. You can just hit University of Auckland m.anai@auckland.ac.nz.
We will
to answer your questions.
I'll make sure that I'll post that up as well after. But no, it's been an absolute honour having you. Did you have any last final words or that you wanted to share with our viewers?
Just what the platform is, annihilate all forms of racism, celebrate Mana Pasifika, and educate to liberate.
Well, thanks very much, Laufionga Lobe Matasila. Mr. Tauveve, Dr. Professor Melanie and I, for your time. And it's always good to do an invitation right here and live right in front of us. We'd like to invite you on the Samoan Language Week, if possible, to join us, because we still have more to talk about it. As you can see, we do have the book called Matai System, and mainly
transnational
Whamatai. So if you want to know more about transnational Whamatai, we do have the language week. And not forgetting, remember, Say Oriana is our sponsors of this.
Yes,
and that's where you can find this book.
Say Oriana.
Say Oriana.
So yes, Say Oriana is our sponsor, and there you have it. You can purchase this book there at Say Oriana. Only $30.
Only $30.
Rush down to Say Oriana. Monday to Saturday they are open, and purchase yourself the book. And here is the author of the book.
Absolutely.
And
Whaftaitele, on behalf of the Pulenga from us here at Blue Wave TV, together with BluTable Talanoa and the beautiful host and bosses of BluTable Talanoa, Whaftai very much for making today possible for us.
Oh, wonderful. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Whaftai lava for inviting me.
No, we can't wait for Samoan Language Week. But once again, we have to say a special thank you to the Pacific Business Hub. Laura, the awesome, the amazing Laura. Amanga o mea se fesosoangi. This is my kauloko every day. Please, it doesn't matter if you own a business or not. If you need some kind of direction, we've got lawyers here. We've got accountants. We've got photographers, filmmakers, Digicel, Pacific 40, Blue Wave, you name it. Your Pacific community here at the Pacific Business Hub are here to help you. Doesn't matter if you're Tongan, Samoan, Lalokonga. She will welcome you with warm arms. And, of course, Say Oriana, our sponsor.
I like your say.
Oh, well, actually, today my say was... I had to support local, so a massive thank you to Letasi, for my beautiful saying. Gria, the sis Gria, thank you so much. But otherwise, that's us. Stay tuned for tomorrow. We do have a special guest, a business owner. So, and if you are finding that special fit, if you're Cinderella and you can't always get your foot into that shoe, our special guest will be able to help you tomorrow. So again, happy Rotuman Language Week from
Thank you.
That's us.
Bye.
Ra'ota uma arotuma. Ra'ota uma
Noia e Maori, o to asa le ramia, The phrase for the day is Rekoforo. Rekoforo means exercise your body. For Exia, and happy Return in Language Week.
Abba to you,